So once you're finished with Sharpie, if you need to erase any pencil, go ahead. If not, then we're going to set up for painting. So we are going to get our things from the counter. 2 small brushes, your first color you want to start with, a cup of water only filled halfway, and then some white. So to set up at your seat, you're going to put a placemat underneath your painting. You'll have your tray nearby. Now, you can start with your plain color. You should have colored your sketch, so that's how I know that I'm doing purples, greens, and blues. So I'm starting with purple, and the white then will allow me to tint the purple to do different shades of purple. Now to mix, we're going to be mixing just on a magazine piece of paper, so I'll show you that as well. I'm going to start with my purple, and when we mix on the magazine page, not in the paint cups. So once I get some purple on there, I cannot dip the purple brush into the white, otherwise I'm going to get it dirty. So I'm going to clean my brush. You have to make sure it is all out. And I'm checking to see it's clean. So then I'm going to get some of the white paint and put some in here and then mix. If it's not enough, you're going to have to put more white in. Again, I cannot put that in there because this is a dirty paintbrush. So I'm going to clean it. Squeeze out the water, and then I'm going to get some more white and try it again. So I'm going to paint this first color in several places before I would go lighter. You're going to paint with the same color for a while. You're going to paint with the same color for a while so that it goes in those different places. So the trick with painting is to have that brush nice and loaded, but not overloaded with paint. And that black line should give you a little bit of a buffer to be able to paint in that shape. Now you can see when I get to a skinny place, I need to make my brush a little pointier. So I'm going to use that to go along those edges. And you can flatten the brush to get a wider brush stroke, or use the tip to get a smaller brush stroke. So I'm going to want this purple in several places before I change the color again. So I'm not going to paint the same color next to the same color. So this cannot be the same purple, neither can this, or this shape. So I'm going to move somewhere else and work on another shape that I want this color that is not touching that one. Again, doing the edges nice and slow. And then as you get to corners, you'll want to kind of clean that brush up to make it pointier so that you can get in those smaller spaces. We can always touch up the black lines later if needed. So my next shape, I'm going to do this color. So now I'm on my third shape that is using this color. Again, if I push down, I get a wider brush stroke. And if I want a smaller brush stroke, I lift my paintbrush up to make it a skinnier line. So you can see that I have painted 4 shapes that color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay with purple, but I'm going to lighten this up even farther so that I can still use purple again in different places. Again, you should be following your sketch, but it doesn't have to match your sketch exactly. If you have, 8 purple in your sketch and you end up with 10 purple in your painting, that's okay. So I'm going to probably have to add a little more purple just because I'm running out. So I'm going to put some purple on that page. Again, I need to clean before getting the white. So you can get some paper towels to kind of dry that brush off, and then you can also see if you still have any purple in there. So this time I want more white than the last time because I don't want it to look exactly the same. I want it more white. So I'm going to try to get it lighter. That means adding more white than purple. So right now, let's see, try to keep your pile of paint close together the bigger the circle gets, the more paint you're gonna end up wasting. So keep it together. So that's definitely lighter, and I can tell by looking at this other one. So I've got a lot of paint on here, and it's getting on the metal part, which it shouldn't. We wanna try to keep it off of there. So I'm gonna paint a large shape to get rid of some of this purple. I can paint next to this one because it's a different shade of purple. So you can see I'm gonna paint right up to that. Now I would suggest don't paint it unless it's dry. So don't paint one color next to another color unless the first one has dried. So again, wide strokes gets this painted very quickly. And you can see I lost the black line in between these two. That's okay. We can go back and do those later. So that one's painted, and then again, I'm gonna still use the same color somewhere else. And you can see I go slower when I'm going on the edge of those shapes. So I got a really small brush to get into some of these smaller spaces, like this grid pattern I drew. Okay, let's say it is time to stop and clean up, so you can put your dirty brushes in your water, and you're going to take those to the sink and clean those. These will go back on the counter where the designated paint spots are. And you are going to take your magazine, fold it in half several times, and then throw that in the trash. Then your artwork will go on the drying rack.